1, 2, 3. Greetings and salutations.
The universe is just doomed.
Have I sinned or am I going to heaven?
You're frying, man. How much acid did you take?
Wait, you're not Jesus. You're Bob.
Hello. Hi. We're back. You didn't even know we were gone. But we have been on a little break.
Just a little short break.
So yeah, forgive us if it sounds like we're rubbing the sleep out of our eyes because it feels like longer than. Has it been 2 weeks or 1 week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Because I, Nicole, got the COVID.
She got the vid finally.
Finally, my first rodeo.
That's why this is my first rodeo. Actually, this is my first rodeo. That's why it took so long to leave because it was like, ooh, fresh meat.
Yeah. It was like, oh, I ain't been in here before.
I haven't been in here. This is nice.
Nice, clean immune system.
Let's
fuck it up.
Nice. Fuck it up. Fuck it up.
So yeah, so if I don't think I sound sick, but
I don't think you do.
It's been over a week that it took for me not to test positive anymore.
Right. So now we're here. We're back. You didn't even know we were gone, but we were. So
it's
I've
just
been bored
us
to fucking
tonight
tears
because Kim, she doesn't want to be anywhere near those germs.
No.
So we want to thank a new patron.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Cherish Heath. You guys should go check out her Instagram at Cherish Heath. Oh, I hope that's what it is. Fuck, I should have written it down.
Cherish Heath.
Heath, Heath is the last name. You'll find her if you look that up, and you'll know who I'm talking about because she has really cool art and stuff
she makes
that
the
she
best
makes.
Things.
And then you could buy, which I have bought. And she has bought things from me. She bought my Slimer.
Oh, that's
when
right.
I made that needle felted Slimer. And if you want to join our Patreon, patreon.com/Doom Generation.
Yes.
And get on over there. $2, $4, $10.
$2, $4, $10.
Uh-huh.
Whichever
Not 2,
level
4,
you
6,
can
8.
afford.
Ooh.
Who do we appreciate? Are you all right?
Hey,
Is
now.
it that caffeinated water? Your free
My
sample?
free sample of caffeinated water is hitting. Woo!
It's hitting hard.
So it is the 25-year anniversary of SLC Punk.
It is indeed.
Which is available on Tubi.
Yes, and that's how I found out that there was a sequel.
Right, yes. So this one came out in 1998. When did the sequel come out? Did you know?
2016, but it's supposed to be 2005.
And they got everyone back but Matthew Lillard, Annabeth Gish, and the guy who played Eddie,
Jason
you said?
Segel.
Oh,
no, Eddie was in it.
Eddie
The
was
guy
there.
that played
Jason
Eddie was
Segel
in
wasn't there. James Duvall was there.
I almost said Robert Duvall.
They're not related,
Shelley
are they?
Duvall.
How come that's never even occurred to me? Is he related to any of them? I don't think so.
Don't think
he only
so.
has one L.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think he's a 1L
He's a
Duvall.
1L Duvall.
And Clea Duvall is like Duval. Like
with a capital V.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With a capital V.
For vagina. Okay.
That was dumb.
So Matthew Lillard as Stevo.
Yes.
How do you pronounce
Michael
Heroin Bob's name?
Gorgon?
Is it Gorgon or Gorgian? I don't know.
Gorgine. He's Gorgine.
He's Gorgine as Heroin Bob.
Anyway, Heroin Bob. Annabeth Gish.
As Trish.
Trish.
Jennifer Leon as Sandy.
Mm-hmm. Shooter McGavin.
Christopher McDonald as the dad. Well, Stevo's dad.
Yeah, Stevo's dad. Devin Sawa.
As Sean.
Jason Segel, who I had forgotten
I had totally forgotten was in this.
Yeah, as Mike.
Till Schweiger as Mark.
Yeah, that sounds good. Adam Pascal, introducing Adam Pascal as Eddie.
James Duvall as John the Mod.
Oh, hearts. Summer Phoenix as Brandy.
So this is set in Utah in 1985.
Yes.
And I'm sure I knew that because I own this movie on DVD. I loved this movie when it came out, but I the way they all look and the music and whatever, in my head it was it's a 90s movie. It was about the 90s punk scene, but no. It's about the 80s punk scene.
Yeah.
In Salt Lake City, Utah.
In Salt Lake City, yeah.
But they were all still dressing like that and doing all the same shit in 1998.
They
so
sure as shit were.
It did not take me out of the time at all.
Nope.
It was all the same.
Nope. It was all the same to me. So they go out there. They beat down a couple of good old boys.
Yeah, they hate rednecks, and because they're America incarnate. Fuck America.
Fuck America. And yeah, there's those guys out there in their pickup trucks, and they're beat the shit out of them.
They're looking for pelt tonight.
Oh, come on, because they wear them squirrel covers. Oh, let me get a peek at them squirrel covers.
Gross.
That's nasty. And then what can we say? They're just a couple of punks.
And then we get the punk rock music begins. And the credits are all like punk albums with the actors' names on them.
Yes, that's the opening credit thing.
And then Too Hot.
Yes, Too Hot.
We get a message for you, Rudy, playing while we see their shitty graffitied hovel.
Yes, they live in this.
And he at least has money. Stevo's from money.
Right. Bob's not, but Stevo's dad's a lawyer.
And this seems like it's not an apartment. It's like industrial.
It's like a shed.
Do you remember going to shows in industrial fucking buildings like that? Totally.
Yes.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. The train would go by by the back door.
It's snowing outside, and Stevo narrates about that they're anarchists with no money, no job, no plan for the future, which is kind of bullshit because we find out, a rich kid.
Yeah, he's got plenty of prospects for the future.
And so it's just him and Heroin Bob, who doesn't do heroin.
No, he's not. In fact, he hated needles.
And all drugs. He just drinks and smokes weed or something. Or
no, he doesn't even do that. He smokes cigarettes and he drinks. Yeah. And that's it. That's all he does. But he's fucking uptight.
He's super uptight. So we get this little scene. We're back and forth in time a lot in this movie.
Right, because it's all pause. Narrated. That was why it was so hard, doing all of these notes, trying to keep up with this narration.
And 75% of it is just Matthew Lillard talking.
Yes.
Over the events of the movie.
Right.
Which I didn't remember that. I hadn't watched it in so long. I forgot that was the setup, that it was all his POV.
Yeah. It's been a while since I'd seen this movie. But yeah, we got the mirror in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah. And Bob. Yeah, I don't get this. I guess this is him being uptight but trying to be a punk and whatever. So he punches this mirror because he hates mirrors.
Right, he hates mirrors. So he punches it and he
just wraps it in a dirty shirt.
About it. Yeah, and just left it like that for weeks. And then he got an infection and passed out at a burger joint. And that's fucking necrosis.
Ugh. Well, they said later they say they named a disease after him because whatever it was so bad.
They try to shoot him up with that amoxicillin and uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, he don't like needles. So he's fighting the doctors off in the hall. They have to hold him down to get him shot up.
He's having a crap attack. Everyone's holding him down. He was afraid of drugs. He drank and smoked. That's what he says. Yeah. And he lectures them about it.
Yes,
about putting that shit in your body.
He's a chemistry major.
Right. That was the wrong fucking major for you.
It's so funny that these guys are in college through all of this.
How did Bob get into college? Who's paying
beyond
for this?
At my community college there was kids like this, but I didn't imagine that at a state college or a university level there was kids.
Utah.
Yeah, especially
State
in
University.
Salt Lake City.
Was that what it was called?
I think it was
did he say it?
He said it at some point. I can't remember.
I feel like he did because he was supposed to go to
Harvard,
but he didn't do that, and he did the state college instead.
One,
but either way, biology major and pre-law.
Yeah.
Is what they're taking. I want to know who's paying for Bob. Did he do so well?
Who's paying for Bob? Did he have a scholarship?
He got a scholarship.
I can only say it that way now.
Because it's right. Because it's right. Bob kind of favors Judd Nelson a little bit. In the face.
I can see that.
He's got a little Judd Nelson in the face.
I have to picture Judd Nelson with a mohawk, though.
That's fun. So he says, did you hear about Sean?
And Sean is Devin Sawa.
Yes. He's
in some green Liberty spikes.
Oh my gosh, with those orange mittens he's wearing. And he was like, well, you know how he was selling acid, and he was selling acid to the mods.
Yes.
John the Mod.
And
he's getting into it with all of them.
Yeah,
Mod
whatever.
is fucking dead. whatever.
And then your mom's still taking us to soccer practice, right? And
4
you're like,
o'clock.
oh shit, they're in high school right
Yeah,
here.
and John's the king of the mods.
Yes.
He was crowned prior to
Mm-hmm.
Vince Noir becoming king of the mods.
He didn't meet the mod wolves. He got
true.
crowned only in the SLC scene.
Well, I don't know. There's probably like wolves in Utah, isn't there?
Probably.
I don't know. Isn't there? Isn't there? I don't know. I've never been to Utah.
So while he's selling them this acid, the security guard at the school gives
At the
chase.
school, yeah, he's
At the high
chasing him,
school, yeah.
and he's running through the sprinklers. The sprinklers are on the playing field
With a pocket full of acid.
and 100 hits of acid
Melts
leaks
through his skin.
his pants into his skin, into his system, and he's fucking fried, man.
And I don't know whether this is true, but I always believed it to be true.
Oh, that would happen?
Yeah, that if you had it just skin contact, that you didn't have to eat it.
Like it
It just had to be wet on your skin.
Dissolve on your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
So I would imagine it works the same way.
Through your sweat.
Yeah, like through your
glands or whatever.
pores.
100 hits.
That I've never done acid. I don't intend to.
I only did it once, and I took double hits on accident, and that was plenty. I can't even imagine what 100 would do.
I don't know. Well, to him, it fucks him all the way up.
Oh yes,
He
and a
sees
week
him,
later,
like, a week later, and he's sitting outside in the snow. It's like,
are you him?
are you him?
Yeah, I'm him.
Jesus!
Oh no.
No, it's me. It's Bob. Like, you're not Jesus.
You're Bob.
You're Bob.
But how are you walking on water?
Right? And he's like, I can't get down from here. I'll drown.
Yeah, so
Like,
he's
get
just
down,
like
I'll drown.
sitting outside his mom's house.
Like, all perched on the little stoop
Yes,
thing or whatever.
Satan is in the house.
Right? He turned my mom into a bull.
And
He
you
killed my
flashed
mom
to
and
him.
turned her
So
into
we're
a bull.
already in a story that Bob is telling.
Right.
And now within the story Bob is telling, there's a story that Sean is remembering that we're
Right,
now.
of
So
what-
there's like many levels
There's
of where are we
several
at in
layers.
the time
It's-
period here.
It's a lot to go through. It's so much fun. Well, like, even when I was telling you that the now that I'm thinking about it, that sequel was kind of like the freeway version
Mm-hmm.
of this. Like, it was only slightly more
Chaotic.
than this. Now that I'm thinking
It is
about
kinda
it, because this
chaotic.
is like a wild fucking story.
Mm-hmm. So you flash to him chasing his mom around the kitchen with a butcher knife because
Right.
she comes in with these crazy
I know.
shoulder
Well, that's
pads.
probably just what he sees. That's probably not
Yeah.
really what she's wearing. Where would she have gotten that in Salt Lake City? Could you imagine?
That's
Her
all the
Taylor.
rage in
All
1985.
the rage. I mean, like shoulder pads, yes,
But
maybe
those
that's what-
pointy, curved
right?
up ones.
I mean, I thought it was false.
So the police roll up. Mom's inside. So
course.
this has just happened previous
Right.
to Bob rolling up.
Right. This is very soon after. So the cops come, they take him.
Oh, I'm saved. I'm saved.
Right.
And then back to the present.
Mhm.
Bob's talking about chemicals,
Man,
man.
they'll fuck you up. And Bob was like that. He was a real asshole when it came to reading into things.
And Steve-O's like, it's Sean's fucked up, not the world. The
Yeah,
world's
like-
just confused.
Yeah, man.
Steve-O's full of
Like he's got all these insights.
wise quips and
He's got-
insights
but
throughout.
is it though?
I know.
But is it though?
And so they're what, 19 here?
I would imagine 19, 20.
college. But only been in college a little bit, I bet.
They
So, yeah,
had
maybe 18
They had
to 20.
ID. I don't know if they were
think-
fake IDs.
wonder
but
if in
you only
Utah,
have to
if
be
you have to
18
be
or
18.
Wyoming.
Oh, yeah, because he went to Wyoming to get the
Mhm.
alcohol. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
So now we're back to the hospital where Bob
Right.
is now in quarantine
Yep.
because his infection is a lethal
It
virus
is
on his
so
hand.
bad it turned into a lethal virus, and for some weeks he had to be in quarantine. I think it's something like 3 weeks. They say later that he was in there. So,
So
he
no,
talks
they're
about
already.
they
So he talks
graduated-
about graduating
Right.
college.
They graduated college. They want to bring down the system. Steve-O did well.
And then we meet his dad.
Yeah, dear old dad. He's got like a meeting. Or now is he?
So
talking
no, this
about
is where it's a flashback to high
4
school.
years before
that
that.
he's graduating. He's got
Before
the
he had
giant
the big
mohawk.
blue mohawk, and I guess he was only supposed to have bleached blonde hair
Mm-hmm.
in this originally, but because the bleach like fucked
Fried
up
it.
his scalp and like made it look all gnarly, they were like, "Oh, just cover it up with the blue."
Ouch.
Yeah,
And so yeah, this whole scene of where his mom's like super supportive,
right. She's like crunchy,
and even dad for
I
being
know.
a square.
right? Like they seem real tolerant
They're trying,
of all of this, but like that's the thing though. Like he probably did well in high school.
right?
He goes on to do well in college. He
Mhm.
could get into Harvard if he wanted to, because he does have the
Yeah.
grades in order to do it. And it's easier because he's a legacy. But he launches into that whole
where he basically roasts his parents.
Right. And like, okay, like fuck you. Like, okay, up until that point.
Right, before he was being respectful, whatever. But no,
Right.
he's going to go to the University of Utah and get a 4.0 in damage.
Yes,
I'm 18 and I can say,
for the first time in my life.
you.
And he's like, hey, son, I didn't sell out. I bought in. Just keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind.
Champ
You're going to
sport.
make one hell of a lawyer.
I know. He's like, that kid's
so
going to
they're
make one
still-
hell of a lawyer. Like, he
Yeah.
would, really, with all of this fucking nonsense, if you could imagine him maybe not jumping up and down and flipping the bird in the
Yes.
courtroom, if he could refrain, then yeah, he probably would be a pretty damn good lawyer. Probably get a defense lawyer.
Yeah, he takes after his father. He's a son of a bitch.
bitch.
After all, she was all supportive, and now
I
she's the
know,
one who's
she's
like,
like,
oh, he's a son of a bitch.
Whatever.
Fuck you, dear.
Fuck you, dear. Yeah.
Back
So
to the
now-
present. Bob and Stevo are sitting there in their long johns.
Right. They decided that fall they were going to do nothing. They were going to waste their educated minds.
This is their rebellion.
It was the only way to fight.
And then we get this diatribe at the mall
About posers.
about posers who
they
they're-
look like punks, but it's just for
the
fashion.
Anarchy in the UK. What good does that do us in Utah?
Yeah, the Sex Pistols, they were English, so it worked for them.
To them, we're fucking hicks. I'm not a fucking
I'm
hick.
not a fucking hick.
And about who started punk rock, who fucking cares?
Who
I don't give a
fucking
fuck.
cares?
We
Who
did it
makes
harder,
music?
faster, and with more love, though,
with
baby.
More love, baby. Oh, a little Matthew Lillard. He's
It's so
fucking
cute.
cute.
Exhibit A, punk show. And Sandy's telling Stevo if he was a man, he would fuck her right there in the
Right?
pit. And he
Does.
I don't know. I didn't
It's like
ever
up
see
against
somebody
the wall.
fucking at a punk show, but I saw punks fucking at a house party just out in the open.
These things happen.
There was like a whole crew locally of gutter punks. I wonder whatever happened to them. This is 25 years ago when I was 18 or 19. And they had a house party at Colt's. His roommates had found all these gutter punks and they brought over their space bags, their box wine.
Oh, yes.
They called them
Yes.
space bags because they
Ones you
just
could
take the
travel with
bag
it. Yep.
out of the thing. And
Yep.
we came home from a show and there's like ambulances and police cars over on the Wood Street. It's one of these. So like, it's like the whole thing's like, what the fuck? Please tell me this isn't your house. Please tell me
Right.
this isn't your house. Oh no, it was his
It's
house.
the house.
And we get out and there's cops and they come up. They're like, do you live here? And he's like, unfortunately, yes. Like, well, we have a problem. Like somebody called the police and you have a bunch of punk rock kids camped out in your house refusing to come out. We're having like a standoff right now.
God.
And we just want them to go.
Right.
So basically one of his roommates had like, or no, it wasn't his roommate. One of these kids had there was some sort of fight. And when one of them left, they did an S down the street in their car and like scraped every car on
the way
both sides
down.
of the street
Nice.
on the way down and like
Nice.
can openered can openered.
Yeah.
All right.
I
sure.
mean, that makes sense to me.
just sealed them open.
yeah.
And
Damage.
so we went inside, and sure enough, there's like 25 punk rock kids all like housed up in there, refusing to come out. The bathroom sink is off the wall on the ground.
Yeah.
There's like shit and vomit in all the bathrooms. There's people just fucking in the hallway.
Yeah.
And Colt comes in and just goes straight to his room.
He's
Like,
like, "I'm
nobody
not
better
even-"
be in my motherfucking bedroom.
Right.
And we just went straight in his room, and he was furious.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so we went out because I had to use the bathroom, but it's like,
Right?
I can't,
Like, did you
I
what?
can't.
In what?
right? I'm like, I gotta go.
In
Like, I
what?
can't even use the bathroom.
You could just go on the floor at that point. It was fine.
right. It might as well. And I'm sure I went there after that because I used to go to his house all the time, but I
Right.
don't remember I wasn't
What the
present for the
outcome
cleanup
was.
and the outcome.
Oh, God,
but
I'm sure.
but the cops let us go in to try to convince them to just go.
Out with your hands up. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
You
I'm
need to
going to
get
my
outta
room
here.
and I'm going to bed.
So yeah, so that was my experience. It wasn't in a pit.
No.
But there was definitely punk rockers just fucking wherever the hell they felt
wherever
like it.
you please. You
Yeah.
just did just whatever you want, man. Anarchy.
Yeah. So at this punk show, so they're banging
Right.
on the side of the pit,
Right.
and somebody asked Bob, like, "Wasn't she with you last week?" And he's like, "Oh,
He's
I
like,
don't."
yeah, no. It was Mike asked him, like,
Yeah.
wasn't she with you? He's like, no, that was last week. And besides, I got my eye on Trish. Like, it's fine.
Yeah,
That's just how it is.
doesn't
Nobody's
care.
with anybody. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, that's how it is.
And Trish is the old lady to them. She's like 30-something.
Yeah, she's like the scene queen.
Mm-hmm. So Bob heads into the pit, and
Yeah, he's
Mike
like, I got to
and-
go do something.
Mike and Mark are on the sidelines, and we meet Mark, who's what, Russian? Is he Russian?
I think
Something
so.
like that?
It was something like that. And he was like, oh, Mike's like, how you doing, old man? He's like, fuck, I'm not an old man.
Because yeah, he's probably also 30.
It's like, well, then why are you in the back of the show then, Mark? If you're not an old man, then why are you
Right,
back
get
there?
up there.
Where all the old people are.
And Bob has now gotten on stage and is getting his ass kicked.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike takes his glasses off.
He's like, hold these. Like, oh my
Ooh,
God.
and Mike beats it. And then Mike looks like a nerd. He's
He
got
looks
like
like a normal
glasses and
dude, like he's a
a
nice
polo shirt and
Right.
some slacks on.
But if that guy is on stage, then you better get out of the pit now because you're about to get fucking
Yeah.
wrecked. Because that
Yeah.
guy,
And he's a big dude too.
yeah, I mean, he's,
And have you seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Yes, I have.
Did we talk about this before?
I
If
think
he
we
is a
did.
grower and a shower, because that thing's already a shower.
well, that's why he was comfortable with being nude full frontal.
he had nothing. He ain't got nothing to
This
be
was
ashamed
like the one
of.
time. Got nothing to be ashamed of.
No, sir.
But yeah, no, this was like, oh yeah, that one time that Jason Segel was fucking hot.
Right? And so he gets up there, he beats the shit out of the guy
The
beating up Bob.
bouncer.
Yes.
And like, could you imagine? Like, I don't like getting that harshly beaten by a bouncer at a punk show.
No. For just getting on stage. They
Yeah.
just throw you back in the
Right,
pit.
you just jump on, like you get up and
'Cause he
get
wasn't
back
doing
off again.
anything.
No,
He
he
was
wasn't
just
doing
up there.
anything. Like everybody always thinks, like everyone's always
Yeah.
screaming into things all together. It's like fucking chaos.
It's wild.
There's no reason for the bouncer to be that serious.
Yeah. So anyway, and then he explains
Anyway.
that to him later at the
Right.
party because the bouncer ends up there. And
Yes,
Mike's
they
like,
go to
"That's
the-
just the way it is."
The after party because the cops come because now everybody's brawling.
And I've also been to a punk show like that where the cops
Mm-hmm.
came. And we all had to file out in front of the police holding their shields.
Oh, ooh, it was like serious.
So it was mostly because they were getting spit at.
well, I mean,
So they
that'll
all
happen.
had their like
That'll
riot
happen.
shields just in case.
That'll
yeah.
happen.
And Tripp's like, yeah, the cops are fascists.
Mhm.
And so they go to the after party
Mhm.
and Mike's explaining to the bouncer, like, and he's like, but I'm the bouncer for the band. And he's like, yeah, but we do this here. So
Right.
it was because they were English, I guess.
Yeah, that's what he says. He talks about Stevo says something about this punk band from England. Like this was too.
It was too much for
it
them.
was too much for them.
Too bleeding violent.
Right?
Oh, why did that sound Australian?
Because you're that lady from Australia, don't you remember?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm that lady from Spain. But no, in a country of lost souls, rebellion comes hard. But in
And so
the
that's what he
religiously
rests his
oppressive
case that
city,
Americans are tougher than the British because that
Right.
one punk show was too rough
it
for
was
that
too.
British
Yeah,
band.
so he concludes.
Which is so. I never really thought about it until just this moment, but he gave us a whole diatribe already about there's only like 4 punks in town and everybody else is a poser. So who put on
Who
this
was all
punk
there?
show
Yeah.
and was at this punk show then?
How far did they have to go?
Stevo.
Because it said the SLC Indian Center. It
Yeah.
wasn't like they had to drive out of town.
Enough kids knew who some British punk band was or cared enough to
that
come.
they would go there for any reason that this.
And I'm
this
sorry, if
band
you don't
would
like
tour.
punk music, you don't go to punk shows.
No,
There's
'cause
nothing
absolutely
for you there.
There's nothing for you there.
Except for a headache.
Yeah, because you're just gonna get real annoyed.
You're gonna
real
get
quick.
pushed around a lot. You're gonna get elbowed, and you're
Things
gonna
will be
have
spilled on you.
spit is happening.
There's all kinds of stuff
yeah.
happening.
So you
I mean,
have
if
to
you're
be
real
into punk.
curious, like I guess if you want to go study.
It's like some sort of a science project,
I mean, I don't know, maybe.
a sociology project.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
just
see
stay
how
out
the
of
punk
the pit.
socializes. Yeah, stay out of the pit.
Yeah, just stay out of there.
I got
You
close on accident, and thankfully Jeremy was with us, and he.
just like
He's
yanked
big
you
enough
out
that
of
he
there.
just grabbed me by the back of the shirt, like, nope,
I had
get
gone-
away.
I had gone into one riding another friend like
Oh no!
like a horse, and we both went in together. And I was riding
Oh,
on his
God.
back. That was fun.
And you made it.
I
You
did.
lived
I'm
to
here.
see today.
I'm here today to tell the tale of that one time that I rode another person into a pit.
And now we are still at the hospital where Bob is still in the hospital. So this whole time we're 15, 20
telling
minutes
all
into the
these
movie, and this
stories,
is
yeah.
all a story that's just to explain
What the
Bob
punk
and what's
scene
happening
is.
in the punk scene and
Right.
how we got to where we are right now. And so they're asking, they want to go visit him. And the nurse is like, have you seen The Exorcist?
Did you like it?
Did you like it? And they go in and he's like I don't know where he got
Wait,
black electrical tape.
Is this dangerous? She's like, not clinically.
Yeah.
Maybe he asked for it, or like
I guess
it
they
was
figured
in one of the drawers.
how could he
or
really
something?
hurt himself? with
Yeah,
this?
like I guess you can have some
Because he's
tape.
tape graffitied the walls and his gown, anarchy
Right, like I'm
symbols and
fucking
whatever.
bored.
Yeah, he wants a cigarette. It's been 3 weeks and no
Right.
one's visited him.
Right? His dad didn't come because he's a drunk, and he's like, "Oh, they named a disease after me."
So yeah, he's excited about that.
I mean, that's fun.
So they throw a party to welcome him home.
Right now, the fall of hate can really get started.
Trish is the bohemian queen,
Right.
the goddess of the scene.
Right. And like Mike is not a fucking poser, even though he looks like one, but he's the most hardcore guy. Watch this.
Yes.
He like runs some kid into him that like
Just for
bumps
bumping
him.
into him.
And he grabs his head and like, bah!
Smashes it into a brick wall.
Right.
And we meet Mark, who's the weed dealer, the foreign guy.
They're like, he always has killer bud, but he's out of his mind.
And so far, nobody's a punk. So Mark's not a
No.
punk. Mike's not a punk. They hang out with this crowd.
Right.
So, is it Mark's whole family died in a plane crash? So he's independently
Yes, he's
wealthy.
Independently wealthy because when he was 5, he was the only one, we go to find out later.
Yes, he
the
tells the
only
whole
one
story.
to survive that plane crash. And he'll tell you that story a little later. He'll tell you through us.
And he shows off his laser. So if you go to buy weed, if you guys ever bought weed in the 80s or 90s.
Oh my gosh, yes. This whole
Or
moment
early
of having
2000s.
this whole moment of having to hang the fuck out.
Actually, we have listeners who live in places where they probably still have to go
do
through
that.
this. We can
Like-
just go to the store.
Right. And it's like just a regular business transaction. Like it's
You
not,
just use your ATM card.
I can
to buy
order
some
it
weed
ahead
here.
of time and just
Yeah.
be like, I'm here to
I
pick
can have
it
it
up.
delivered
I can
to
have
my
they'll drive it
house.
to my house and I just have to come outside.
But we definitely had to go through buying your weed from a dude who you had to hang out for at least an hour so
At
that
least
if the
because
cops
then
are
it looks-
watching.
right, because all kinds of people be in
And
and,
the
out if all
neighbors,
kinds of
yeah.
people are in and out all day.
But yes, showing off his laser disc and his waveless waterbed, and they're like, "Why didn't you just get a regular mattress?"
Well, because then it
Because it's less expensive.
Right.
And his shower head and his big screen TV and all this stuff.
He's like, but he had a tendency to snap and he was kind of intimidating.
He shot 2 men in Miami, and that's why he's here. Is why he says they tried to rob him, so he shot
Right.
them in the head.
And he was like, so do you try? Because now he's looking for his shit. He can't find his shit.
Oh God!
I
He has
had
this
2 things
giant,
of
dirty,
shit.
hairy gun that he
Right.
pulls out. That
He's
thing
like,
is
"Do you trust Bob?"
enormous.
He
He's
might
like,
have
"Yeah,
taken my
man."
shit. He's like,
Bob
no, he
doesn't
wouldn't-
do drugs,
Right? Like Bob wouldn't have taken
And
your
Bob's asleep on the couch.
seriously. And he like tells the story about how he was the only one to survive the plane crash and that he watched his mother be decapitated and she like never took her eyes off me.
Oh God, that her head flew
I
at him,
know.
staring at him
Like,
the whole
oh
time.
my God, it's
Oh,
terrible. But his dad
creepy.
said it was going to be okay. And my mom smiled at me. And my sister said, oh my God, it's getting close. But even then I knew because the pilot was crying.
Right? Even
like-
as a 5-year-old, you knew.
Yeah. And like he woke up with all the pieces of his
Yes.
family members around me. And then I couldn't find my father's body. But if I could,
I wanted to kick him.
for lying to me.
Oh, so yeah, this dramatic, but it's like, and this is always the kind of weirdo who you had to buy weed from,
Right.
was someone who had these weird fucking stories that you went,
Not quite like
no,
like not the type to pull a gun. I don't
No,
think
no,
I
no.
ever,
I
but it was
never had
always
him.
like the weird.
but they always
guy
had
that
some
always
weird
had-
story to tell you.
Yes, it was always this bizarre person that had a bunch of stories to tell you or did like weird, had quirks,
Yeah.
you know, and you always had to be there and listen.
So Mark wakes Bob up with this giant gun, like empty your pockets, and he
He's like,
of course
she's
doesn't
like,
have
fuck
it.
you.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, fine, because he's put
He
Stu in the
shoots at him,
couch.
yeah. And so he's like, all right, fine. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry.
I
and,
just, you know, I get so.
and now he wants a
He's
hug.
like, give me a kiss. He's like, no, fuck
Get
you.
away.
Shit was not cool.
It was just a joke,
right. He's like, let's go out and steal a car.
which he doesn't need because he has 3
No.
of them, but
He's like, it's just for fun. It's just to go out and steal a fucking car.
just to joyride
Just
and
to-
get high.
Right. They would run around and he'd listen to his wild theories about Reagan's one testicle.
And dolphins are men evolved. He
Yes.
saw a half dolphin, half man.
The world has no way to cleanse itself. That's why all the dust.
And then they try to dispose of this car, but it's the Great Salt Lake.
Why isn't it sinking?
And so it makes things buoyant.
Right. And he like shoots at the car. They're like, okay, come on. Because he's like, oh,
he's all mad, that it won't
Right.
sink.
They had to like drag him away.
So an evening with Mark is proof of anarchy, so he was accepted.
I mean, that's kind of true. That's a wild fucking night. You got to buckle up, Buttercup, because that's going to be...
No rules. You
Nope.
never know what's going to happen.
That's a late one.
So we're back at the party, meeting people. So this is still Bob's coming out of the hospital party.
Right.
And we meet Jennifer, who's 17, but looks older.
That's some shade. And then there always like some wild-ass Jen. Wild Jen appears. There's always some Jen that's got like a... Like, oh, this is Jen, but she's off her meds. She's fucking crazy. She's a carnivore.
No. And we meet Sandy, who's just a beautiful, wonderful, funny, loving, sexy, tough as nails, weird girl.
I like Sandy a lot.
And John the Mod.
Yes.
Who's okay, even though they spat with the mods.
They usually beef with them, but he's like a diplomat. He moves between the tribes.
And
he always brings gifts.
And we talk about getting their beer out of state because in Salt Lake City you can only get low alcohol content beer.
He has to stop again in the middle of telling the story of the introductions. Yes. He stops to tell the story about getting alcohol in Utah.
Yes. And so they got to go to the Wyoming State Liquor Store.
Right. They have to drive an hour.
And the owner's like a cop.
Or is that the state-run ones in Utah?
Oh, that's the that
the
you
local
could go,
ones. But the guy's not just a clerk; he's a cop,
and he calls his friends to
follow
follow you
because you're suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get beat up by the fucking cops,
and they get their ass kicked. Mm-hmm. The cops are rednecks; they're mortal enemies.
Well, duh.
So they got to go to Wyoming for liquor,
right? And
that's a 90-minute drive,
right? Is it 90 minutes? I thought it was an hour. Well, either way, it would be worth it.
To not have to go through that, I guess.
I suppose. So Eddie drives.
He's a true romantic,
but not in like an asshole way.
No. And everybody, he gets like beat up for being gay, even though he's not gay because he's like into new wave and wears a hat.
So right, he's got that little hat so clearly.
And he doesn't care about that, about being called gay. He's like, I have lots of friends that are gay, like whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's not like an insult.
It's like because besides they do it because they want to fuck me, not fight
right,
me.
Exactly.
He knows.
Wise
beyond his years.
Mm-hmm.
So then they get to this Wyoming liquor store,
right,
or whatever.
And looking like us in Utah was unusual. In the cowboy state,
yes,
we were alien.
And the store clerk is like, "What the hell are you?" We come from the east in search of the Messiah. We followed the big star.
He's like, what?
Oh, we're from England.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, all
that
right. Yeah, whatever. So now
his wife comes out like.
They're in the store discussing like end times.
Oh, yeah. Some other customers.
Yes. They're just whatever. And he was like, well, what about like, wouldn't Nazis be proof of
devil worshiper
on, like, Earth?
evil?
He's like, well, I don't really think of Nazis as like Satan worshippers. I think of them more of like
a gathering of people.
And Bob's like, what the fuck did you do?
So they have to like hold Bob back from kicking this guy's ass so they can get their beer.
And he was like, well, hold on. You like mentioned something about a mark, like they would bear the mark.
And Stevo pulls down his pants and he's got a 666 tattoo on his booty.
Yeah, right.
And the owner's like gonna kill him. He like racks his shotgun.
I'm sorry, but there's no way that they were able to agilely run out of there with that many cases
that was
of
a lot
Mickey's
of beer.
Grenades.
That's a lot of beer.
Click, click,
Those
click,
were
click,
heavy.
click, 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 click,
They surely broke some of those.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so they run out, and I'm guessing they stole them unless one of them threw some money down on the counter.
Or did they purchase them before?
Maybe they were already purchased.
I mean, they're
going to
have to go back to that one liquor store.
They must have paid
Wyoming.
for them then.
They're going to remember them.
Yeah. So, and then they talk about hating Nazis.
Yeah, Nazi punks, fuck off.
They jump the fucking Nazis in town
they
any chance they get
out of them.
Yes,
anytime.
of course, as you should.
That's what you're supposed to do.
And back at the party,
yes,
Trish is telling Bob he's a treasure.
I found a treasure.
And Eddie's hitting on some lady.
He's giving her the romance speech.
And someone hits someone with a beer can. I didn't write who. It just says someone hits him with a beer can.
Oh, yeah. And he just yells like, who the fuck threw that?
Oh, and then the rednecks arrive.
Yes, that's when the rednecks come to fuck shit up. And the fight.
We
An
break down
essay.
the
Now we
anatomy
have
of a fight.
Yet another aside about a fight and what the reason to fight is to be alive with reason.
And to
Final
fight
analysis.
with reason is to be alive with
Right.
reason.
Is
Fighting
to
is a
fight
reason to live.
Is to live.
Fighting is what we stand for.
Right.
Chaos.
But
Point? None?
there is no. Well, they go down the whole list. Like rednecks beat punks. Punks
Yes.
beat the mods. Mods beat the skins. Skins beat the heavy metal guys. The heavy metal guys beat the new wavers, who did nothing because they were the new hippies. And that's when he comes to the point.
Yeah,
there's
that
none.
there's no point, but
And
this is
the
just
fight
the
rages
hierarchy.
on.
And before we get to the
Next
point, because
part.
there's, I
Get
don't
to
know,
the
there's no
fucking
point.
There is no fucking
There's no point. This is
There
another
really
one of
isn't.
these pointless movies.
Yep.
It's just a day, not a day in the life, but just a sample, just a
Of
character
boys.
study of punk boys.
Yeah, the
But,
girls were kind of secondary, weren't they?
Yes, they sure were.
Yeah. Look at that. Weird.
Once again,
Oh, weird. Once again.
we'll be right back.
Bye. Am I supposed to do that?
Hey, you guys!
Guess what we got for you?
Ooh, it's a surprise.
Discounts, discounts, discounts.
Ooh, get there now.
8bitzombie.com. I'm telling you, I got some shirts from there. I got some stickers from there. This is good quality shiz.
Yes, else we wouldn't be telling you about it right now.
He throws in some little extras, like some cool trading cards, like Mr. T, Jurassic Park, stuff like that.
Before he even knew.
Yes,
She
that was just,
was.
I found them online. I ordered some shirts because I couldn't find a Chainsaw and Dave shirt anywhere else.
No.
Or a cartoon Beetlejuice shirt anywhere else.
No, and that Bebop shirt, I want it.
So number 8, BITZOMBIE.com, code DOOM, DOOM, for 10% off. Get over there now.
Today. Nicole,
Tessa,
guess what?
What?
The Anchor ad is gone.
I forgot to tell you something.
Well, you're always forgetting stuff.
Anchor turned into Spotify for podcasters.
Oh, what? So
Yeah.
they changed it.
Yeah, but all they changed was the name.
Oh, thank goodness.
You can still create, edit, and distribute your podcast from the phone or the computer.
Wait a minute, though. Is this still free?
It is still free.
Ah,
And
yes.
you can make money on Spotify
What?
for podcasters.
No way. They're actually going to pay you for this?
They'll give you an ad. You can get subscriptions to your podcast.
Other
Oh.
people will pay you too?
Can you believe that we get paid to do this?
That's silly.
And if you want to see how easy it is and make some money on the side, go to spotify.com/podcasters.
You should do it. We're doing it. You do it. Everyone should do it.
Tell them Doom Generation sent you.
Yes.
Now we're back,
We're back and we're at Trish's head shop.
which she owns.
She like owns it.
Oh,
She's got her shit together.
totally.
And they're hanging out there and Mark shows up to say he's
off to
leaving.
Miami.
He's going to Miami, but he'll be back. And hey, Stevo, fuck you. You know, but
Yeah.
he never came back.
Nope.
He never did. And like the rumor has it that he died in a plane crash like he was supposed to.
Like Final Destination, which
Oh
had Devin
shit!
Sawa.
Oh!
Connection.
Was that the only one? Did you see that in the newest one? I guess there's going to be a 6th one and Tony Todd's going to be in it.
I did
Because of
not.
course, because he's got to. He's like Death's helper. I really like those movies because I love a Rube Goldberg machine.
Oh, and
so
there's
like all
always some
those
sort
like
of,
they're ridiculous. It's so insane. So I like that.
Was
I
it
like
the
that.
teacher in the first one that had the craziest, like in her apartment where so many
Oh
different
yeah,
things
it was like
happened?
so many things. It was like no,
I was like, whoa,
oh,
it could not be worse.
Oh, like wow, she's having a real bad day that
Real
day.
bad day.
Real bad day.
And so Trish is taking Bob with her. She owns him now.
She bought him for $36
See you, Stevo, and
Yep.
Stevo's kind of bummed. He goes
He's
off alone.
on his own. So here comes Pops in his Porsche, and you can't afford me, old man. He's like, great news. It's like, what? The world's coming to an end? No,
You've been invited to attend Harvard Law.
but I didn't apply. Oh, but Dad did. And he's like, well,
Forged his signature.
yeah. He's like, well, hey, Dad, enjoy your second tour of Harvard Law.
Yeah. And his dad's like, well, so if you cheated, because he's like, oh, I cheated through school. And he goes, well, why would you even bother to cheat? Why would you even
Right.
care enough to do that?
Like, yeah, why would you do any of this? Why are you doing any of this? Like, what is
To
all
find
of
out how truly full of bullshit your life's ambition is. Like, Could you imagine?
I know.
Just to realize your dad's an asshole or something. Like, you
right, I
devoted
guess
your
so. Well,
studying-
he's full of shit. Like, and he still takes him to lunch. He's like, let's go to lunch.
in his Porsche, which is
Right,
from
hang
the
on.
Volkswagen dealership.
Oh, that makes you like a Nazi. He's
Hitler
like,
made
Steven,
this possible.
I'm Jewish. Like, why would I?
It's just a car.
Yeah, like, oh my God, why does everything have to be a fucking thing with you?
But he realizes his dad's right about one thing. Why did I do so well in school?
Yeah, like his dad wasn't all bad. He was just clueless, but he was right about one thing. Like, yeah, why did he? He'd been accepted into an Ivy League school, and the only reason he would go is to set it on fire.
Mm-hmm. So
And-
Stevo and Sandy run into Sean on a
Yes.
street corner begging for change.
He's out there spanging, and at first he doesn't
He doesn't even really recognize him,
And he was
no.
like, "Oh shit!" Like
Bob,
it's-
and he's like, no,
No.
Bob's friend Stevo.
Yeah, Steve-O. And he's like, "You have no clue who I am right now, dude." He's like, "Oh man, I'm a fucking beggar now."
Oh. And
She's like, "You should probably get a job." And he's like, "Oh,
I tried.
I tried to get a job." And he goes into that clothing
some
store.
retail
all,
store.
"Ba, ba, ba,
Yes.
da, da, da. Hi, hey.
Do you have experience in women's clothes?
What do I look like? Like I wear women's clothes? Like I don't wear fucking women's clothes. Like no.
No. Have you ever worked in retail?
He's like, I want to sell women's clothes.
Yeah. And he's like, you got a bad attitude. I don't want your job. I got integrity.
Yeah, in fucking integrity.
And so now he's a bum. That's what he does. So they give him some money.
Yep, they take off. Like,
Like, why don't you go back to your mom's? And he's like, oh, she's scared of me. She doesn't
Yeah,
let me
she
in
won't
the
let me
house."
in the house. Which, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
After all that would be
He
something.
went a little crazy.
And so he didn't even want to. Steve-O didn't even want to look at him because it made his stomach hurt. He turned his back just like everybody else, and it fucked him up.
Yep. So him and Sandy just went and dropped acid in the park
Right, to further ignore reality.
and had some weird, deep conversations
And
about death.
Is this a good trip? Is this a bad trip? Is this just what
This
happens
for
to
me
you?
would be bad. I don't know. I didn't see like rivers of blood and snakes and think about dying. And I
No.
also could not have had sex on acid. So it makes you feel weird. It doesn't make you feel horny.
No, well, I mean, I don't know because
Or
I've never done
not
it.
me
like,
anyway.
No, I can't imagine wanting to with all this shit.
It's all
going
in
on.
your head. Like, I don't know. There was no part of my trip made me be like, yeah, let's fuck. Like, it was not.
You know what?
No.
I'm seeing rivers of blood. That gets
Like,
me so
yeah,
fucking hot.
I'm horny. Let's
So
talk about
fucking
death
hot.
and bang.
I have the fucking scenery from Terminator 2 going on in the background.
I was gonna say
Mm-hmm.
that was mine. Is that they had been doing whippets and all those canisters were on the ground, and I was like, "You guys,
Dun, 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 dun.
Terminator 2," and they were
Dun,
like,
dun,
"What?"
dun, dun,
Everyone's like, "What?" And
Come
I'm
on.
like sitting on the floor, crisscross applesauce, like just rolling them around the floor, like, "You guys."
Click, 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 click.
Terminator 2. They're like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And then they were watching Blade, and they're like, "You could see the wires. You could see the wires." It was like,
Fling, fling,
yeah.
fling, fling.
Ah.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I don't
yeah.
know. Like I told you before, like I had eaten mushrooms and ran around in the outdoors, but even still, like it was not like this. So I don't know if this is supposed
So yeah,
to
this
be
didn't
optimal.
happen to me. I don't know if this is supposed to be good, but it doesn't seem like it.
doesn't
He
seem
sees like
like
a
it.
nuclear blast going
Right.
off.
Yeah, I've never done. I don't know. I don't know if this is
They
supposed to
had
be
a
good, but
trip,
They
that's
had
for sure.
They did something. I don't know if that's regular, but whatever.
So back at the pad, Stevo asked Bob if he's in love with Trish.
He's like, I don't know. I worship her. She's a goddess.
if she died, I'd die.
So yeah, I guess I love Trish.
I would lick a cop's asshole if she asked me to. That's love.
Yeah, I guess.
That's-
I'm licking nobody's asshole
That's
for
true.
nothing.
Actually, yeah, that's beyond love. I ain't licking no cop's asshole for nobody.
And if I could get you to lick somebody's asshole just because I told you to, I'd be like, ew, oh,
Like,
you're
right? Like,
now I don't want to
aw.
kiss you. You just had your tongue in someone's asshole.
And Stevo calls him a poser for falling in love, but then he's like,
Posers fall in love. Guys, is it gay to fall in love with
"Is
a
it
girl?
gay to fall in love with a girl?" It's so gay.
He's like, Bob, I don't really think you're a poser.
He's just tired, and he has a wave of melancholy sweep
Yes.
through him.
It's halfway through this season. He began to feel like his ideologies were falling apart. And what do you do when your foundation falls apart?
And then there was a party at Chris's.
Right? And this is at the outskirts of town. This is the guy, Chris, that he was talking about earlier, Jen's brother.
The one who goes crazy without her medication.
Right.
Which she is now not taking.
Exactly. He has convinced her to go off her meds.
She's all whacked out.
His house is like a commune. Mike was quiet in the corner. It was a strange night. The vibes
It's like,
were off.
Weird vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So Steve goes down to talk to Chris, who's like a hippie guru kind
Right.
of.
He's that guy. He's the guy that he's got his hookah.
He's probably like 35, so he's like way
probably,
older
at
than all
least.
of them.
This is his house.
And then he told Jennifer to get off her meds because she's beautiful. She's not a lithium Barbie doll.
She needs to be who she is. His other sister, she keeps messing with her glasses. Like, what is this?
Yeah, she's like weird.
And,
She was giving me Andy Warhol vibes or something. Like
a little bit. I wonder if they had asked Summer Phoenix
to do this one, and then they're like, she's like, no.
Well, like, if you like, what was it like hanging out with all of your siblings? Were they all weird like this?
Right?
Like, if
That's
because there's a bunch of them, and they're all like
that being the Phoenix family hangout,
right, like the hippie vibes thing. Because they weren't like, it's not like they're bad people. It was just like they're kind of deep. Like, she wants to go photograph the lightning with the fucking
and their other little
Polaroid.
friend is going to
Jones.
disprove Satan
by summoning the beast at
him.
midnight. That
He
guy's
seems like a
intense.
D&D player.
Oh, for sure.
totally.
For sure. You knew that guy too.
And so so Steve-O goes to watch, but Bob and Trish are gonna cut because Trish is like,
Well, before that, like, that's what Chris is like, let's discuss anarchy.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
yeah, they do that whole thing. But yeah, there's like, this is weird. We're going to leave. They go out, they bail. And Steve-O's like, oh, it's cool. I'll just get a ride with Sandy. But she's fucking some other guy.
and he
Like,
loses his
it
mind.
because it just made him mad because Chris was right. Like, all things had systems, and even him.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy invaded his territory.
Because he obviously liked this girl. You could tell when he was talking about her earlier.
Yeah,
and
that
how,
he liked her.
but he couldn't admit that, like,
that he didn't want to have a relationship.
Yeah.
They
And
didn't want to
so-
lock anything down.
and so this
'cause
poor
nobody's
kid
with anything.
loses some fucking
Oh my
teeth
God,
as a
he's
result.
spitting out fucking teeth. He's like choking on his own blood.
And she calls him a fucking pussy.
Yeah. So he goes out back to the summoning.
To the pentagram that's been made and lit on fire.
How many times?
But Steve-O has already seen the devil in all of us.
It was in that room with Sandy. It was all of them. All of them. His parents, everybody there.
And now
Fuck 'em.
everything can get fucked, including anarchy.
Right? Fuck this party, fuck everything, and fuck anarchy.
So Bob talking about Salt Lake isn't that bad back at the pad, and Steve
Right,
was
he's
like,
all happy.
yeah,
like,
he's
this
always
is
like
my home. And he's like, yeah, well,
never
fuck your
gonna be my
home.
home.
Yeah, this is your home. Fuck your home.
This place is a shithole.
I'll write you off like that.
And
that.
It's like Jesus took a shit and it landed right here.
How the Mormons looked at this valley and saw the promised land is beyond me. Maybe it looked different back then.
So now Mike is leaving. He's going to Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. He's going to major in botany.
Yeah.
He's going to save the rainforest.
Yep. One of the most hardcore son of a bitches he ever met going off to save the plants.
Right. So he remembers a time when Mike was drunk and he decided to smash all the car windows.
Because they would just look better without windshields.
Right. So he just went out there and smashed them. And then it took several cops to get him in the car.
Get him in the car. And then he kicked the back window out of the
broke
squad
the
car.
cuffs, kicked out the back window, and escaped into the night and never got caught.
They thought he was on angel dust.
Right. But that was just Mike.
He was just drunk.
Yep.
So
Now he's
Steve-O's
going
like,
to go save plants. And in the
Yeah.
end, it was just him and
him
Bob.
and Bob
right?
were last two punks.
First two punks, last two punks.
But Bob was in love.
Right?
And Trish has a friend to introduce to Steve-O.
And she thinks that Sandy really got to him.
Right. Which he won't admit,
Of course. No. He's like, I don't even care. Like, whatever. I get off on pain. Tell her I get off on pain.
Yes. So Steve-O's like, nah, she had the right. It was the agreement. I should have been more careful.
Right. I shouldn't have done what I did. And hardcore or not, you should meet Brandy. She's a rich girl.
Don't pity me. And so Bob's like, he's mellowed out, but Steve-O's still fucking hardcore.
Right.
So yeah, let's go meet the rich girl, Brandy. What's okay? I'm a rich boy, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Brandy sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, and like there's all Trish like, see, nothing. Miles of nothing, just space.
The salt flats. Yeah, I've never been to the salt
you could
flats.
fall in and
Crazy.
never come out. Yeah, that looks wild. Like, I don't know. That would probably freak me out after
Yeah,
a
that
while.
seems weird.
I don't know.
Like being in the isolation chamber, but alone.
Oh, no. I don't want to hear things that... I don't want to hear my own thoughts. You know what? I don't want to do it. No.
So Steve-O and Bob go to visit Bob's dad.
Yes, they
for
go
his
to
birthday.
this shack. It looks like Clarence Worley's dad's place.
And they seem to have known each other at least all throughout high school and college. And so it's kind of weird that he's never met his dad This is like seems like it's his first. Like he's
Like, he's
aware
never,
that his
like,
dad's
yeah.
a drunk, but he's not fully aware until this
Right,
moment
like
of
he
what's
doesn't-
the deal.
Or like at least how bad he's gotten. Maybe
Yeah.
they haven't seen him in a couple years because he bailed out to go live in that shack down by the river.
And he's asleep, and they don't know if they want to wake him up because he's kind of crazy sometimes.
Right. So he does wake up and he's paranoid that the fucking CIA.
Goddamn CIA.
Right. He comes up with a fucking shotgun.
Yeah, starts
and
shooting at him.
Shoots. Yeah, they run out of there. And now this scene of them driving in the van that's like, are they on a very bumpy road? Or they got like the van on like these got like little handles that there's people out there like shaking it. It looks like a arcade game the way that it's moving.
Little 25-cent ride out front of the arcade.
I was distracted from their conversation that they were having about him like understanding Bob, and I was like, oh, this is like a moment, but I can't get into it because this fucking van.
So it's the last party of their youth, and
Yes.
he's going to meet Brandy, the woman he's going to marry.
He doesn't even know it yet.
But he knows if he knew what was ahead, he may have just stayed in bed.
Right. And if he thinks back on it now, if the guy he was then met the guy that he is now, he would have kicked the shit out of him.
Yep.
And,
Cuts to the party.
Mm-hmm.
Mods rolling up on their scoots.
Oh yeah, that's what was it? Oh, he was like, was I afraid? Was I angry? Or was it just the end? It was the end, and I knew it. So yes, now everybody's going. Stevo meets Brandy.
Love at first sight.
That's exactly what I wrote.
And she's like, why do you go out of your way to look like a bum? But not in a bad way.
Right. Like, I'm just, whatever. It looks like you're wearing a uniform.
Mm-hmm. If it wouldn't it be more of an act of rebellion not to spend so much money on blue hair dye and punky clothes?
Mm-hmm.
And
it's like, okay, like, how old are you?
And she's like 19.
19.
Rebellion happens in the mind.
Right.
You can't create it. It's just you are that way.
Yeah, that's just how I already. He's like, what? I hated her ideas because they were critical of me, but I went and they talked all night long. It was just them. And she talks about like, well, I've been hanging out with just you.
At my own party.
At my own
all
party.
night
It's
long.
just been me and you. So meanwhile,
Bob has a headache.
real bad.
And John the Mod's girlfriend gives him some pills that she says are just vitamins
for that.
which
and,
he's drinking with.
yeah, right. And he takes like a fistful.
He takes a lot of them.
How
for
many
someone
did she
who-
have on hand that she could just hand
I
them
know.
out?
Can I know her? Can you?
Can I
you just
know
handing
her?
out fistfuls of fucking.
Can I know? She's probably dead now.
True. If she was just handing out fistfuls of them.
Right, telling people they're fucking vitamins. She's at least in jail.
And he goes in the bathroom and looks at himself in the mirror and smashes the mirror.
Right.
And everybody, like, it's all drama. And
Yeah,
now
they all
party's
come
fucked.
in. Yeah,
Party's
everybody
over.
get out. Stevo and Trish take Bob home. He asks if he can call Brandy the next day. And first she says no. She's like, wait, yeah.
Yeah, that was a weird
That was
moment.
weird.
'Cause
Yeah.
her first instinct was no. And then she had to, like, stop herself. Like, no, yeah,
yeah,
you can.
yeah. Like, I don't know why
That
I
would be
said
cool.
that. That was weird. So they smooch and off they go.
And they have this little conversation on the way home that I'm not
Bob's
like
not
my
like his
dad. I'm
dad.
not going to cry.
Right. And Bob thinks, or Stevo thinks that Bob's dad let him down, not the other way around.
Yes.
And
He's talking about he wants to marry Trish.
And Stevo takes him up the stairs and puts him in bed. He's really loaded.
He has no idea he has taken these pills or what they were.
Yeah, he didn't even know.
He just knew he was drinking.
Yeah, because he doesn't do drugs. He doesn't do anything.
So there was no reason for him to handle this any other way than exactly what he did.
Nope. And good night, asshole. And he goes to bed.
And the next day he wakes up at what did he say? It was like 3 o'clock in the
Yeah, it was
afternoon.
like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And he looks, and Bob is fucking dead.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, he is so excellent.
He's
here.
always good at being.
Oh my God.
upset.
Like, I was in tears.
Oh, yeah.
That was like, oh God.
And there's so much blue in this shot.
I
His
know.
hair is blue. His shirt is
Everything
blue.
is
The
blue. His
sheets are
lips are
blue. The
blue.
lips are blue. I was like, wow.
Oh, his eyes are
Please
open.
wake
It's
up
oh
now.
God. He like goes to look for a pulse. He's cold, and it's
now
like,
what
oh,
am I gonna do for a
oh,
friend?
you're my only friend.
Oh, I wasn't ready for this.
Oh,
and it's very
ready.
short, but
Yeah,
it's
but-
so poignant and so
Oh
sad.
my God. Like, and who buried him? Like, I don't. I have like a
know.
fucking funeral. Like, who paid for all this?
Well, where was his mom? It never mentioned. I'm gonna
No.
guess his mom was okay somewhere.
Maybe, I don't know.
But yeah, they find out that it was Percodan that were the vitamins she gave him.
Cause of death mixed with booze did him in.
The guy who never did a drug in his life dies from a narcotic overdose.
Yep. And
so
Bob got him into this whole shit, and he shaved his head.
His mohawk off. Or, well, no, he didn't have a mohawk.
Blue hair. And Trish has taken off her wig.
Yes,
they're there
to
at the
her short hair
funeral
now.
And he remembers.
And John came, which, like, wow, good for you, because your girlfriend is the reason he's dead. So
I wonder if they broke up.
Props. Right? Hopefully.
He's like, I broke up with her. Like, I didn't realize that was going to happen.
And then we get a flashback. So this is like when they've known each other since like junior high at least.
So before they were 14, because they seem like they
had been friends, and they're playing D&D in the basement. They're nerds.
Yeah,
and it was Bob's idea.
Yes,
to stop listening to Rush and hanging out playing D&D.
Rush is a very
good
band.
There's a whole world out there. Go to parties and get drunk, get laid, get wild.
Right. And here's this tape I got from a guy in L.A.
You
know a guy in L.A.
I know. You're 14 and you live in Salt Lake City.
I don't know. I probably shouldn't feed too much into that.
Yeah.
Don't hang out alone with the guy from L.A., okay?
No. So we see Stevo kissing Trish goodbye at the funeral, and he's talking about he's obviously going to Harvard and going to be a lawyer.
Yep, he's easier to take things down. You play in the goddamn system.
There's no future in anarchy.
Yep. And
so he could do more damage inside the system than outside.
So he became a litigator in New York, and he likes to piss off the judges.
And the final irony is that he's a goddamn trendy-ass poser after all.
Yep. Kill the pork. Kill the pork. Kill the pork.
Exactly.
Yep. That's
my
how it
thoughts
ends.
Exactly.
Yep.
So yeah,
I grow up your heart dice.
Yeah, this is another one of those like. Yeah.
When you grow up, your Bob dice.
Oh.
When you lose your Bob, that's when it's time.
That's when your heart dies.
That's when you have to go to Harvard.
Boring. And so Tessa watched SLC Punk 2.
I did. I watched it right afterwards, and it was pretty good. It was like the freeway version of SLC Punk. And Devin Sawa was in it, and James Duvall was in it,
and Heroin Bob was in it as
Heroin Bob
Ghost
was
Dad.
The ghost, but like his ghost had aged. That was interesting. But it's about his son, him and Trish's son.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was kind of cute. You know.
So we have one yearbook signing this week. We got a text message from Gorilla Vader. I'm a new listener, but I really like your podcast. It's great, and I'm obsessed with it. The Neverending Story episode is my favorite. The Swamp of Sadness got me again. You two are great. I'm almost all finished with all the episodes. Would love to add to the yearbook. Keep those burps going. They always get me.
Oh, I don't have one right now. Oh, good job.
Oh, I was kind of little, but
good job.
I had one ready. So, if you want us to read a text message from you, text 702-720-DOOM.
Yep.
Or if you want us to play a voicemail from you, call 702-720-DOOM.
Do it as a character. Do it as yourself. Just do it. It'll be fun.
If you got social media, you should be following us on Instagram at Doom Generation Pod.
Absolutely.
We are on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And Patreon. Patreon.com/Doom Generation.
Don't forget about that one. That one's important.
We just recently started a new series of Patreon exclusives, you guys.
That's right.
Where we are going to get submissions of movies you think we may not have seen. We're going to go through those submissions and post polls of the ones that neither one of us have seen. And you get to vote on which movie you make us watch. And we are doing first time watch kind of live react episodes.
Live-ish in the moment.
Where we literally are just watching the movie and then hitting pause when we cannot suffer in silence any longer. And then hitting record.
Wait.
And we got some good feedback. We did the stuff and people really liked that one. So if you want to hear us and have some input onto movies we haven't seen that we are going to watch for you guys, get on over to patreon.com/Doom Generation.
Because I want to see some new.
And until next week.
We'll talk to you next time.
Later,
Doomers.